Welcome to the Feed Your Family Tonight podcast. Do you dread hearing the question, what's for dinner? Whether you spend your days keeping up with toddlers, running kids to after-school activities, or juggling a career and family, getting dinner on the table can be a struggle for us all. I'm Mariefiebach, a business owner, wife, and mom of 4. I'm on a mission to build stronger families one dinner at a time, and I'm here with tips, tricks, and inspiration you need to feed your family tonight. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Feed Your Family Tonight podcast, episode 170. I'm your host, Mariefiebach. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Today, we're going to talk about how it's time to clean up the clutter in your refrigerator. Now, a lot of people in January did a lot of let's get organized, clean out your refrigerator type of things. And I wasn't on that bandwagon. But I did a post in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group earlier this week talking about what do you always keep in your refrigerator besides milk and eggs. And it was fun looking at all of the different answers. Friends, a lot of you have cheese. Lots and lots of cheese. And a lot of you have specific fruits, which I think is really fun. I always have carrots in my refrigerator. Lately, our family's been buying like 10 pounds of carrots a week. It's a crazy amount of carrots, but we always have carrots. I always have lemons because I personally have lemon water every day because I like the taste of it. And I think that lemons can add a lot of brightness to just about any dish. Some of my favorite recipes on the website use just a little bit of lemon zest, and it makes something go from simple to amazing. But there's also things in my refrigerator that are just kind of clutter. I've said before, my husband and I have very different outlooks about visual clutter. For my husband, if he doesn't see something, then it doesn't exist or it bothers him. And the best example that I have of that is over Christmas, he was in charge of buying a couple of gift cards and he purchased them and then he taped them to the front of the refrigerator because we have a stainless steel refrigerator, so you can't put anything up on it with a magnet. And it was time for me to do my wrapping spree. And I said, "Hey, where are those gift cards?" And he just laughed. And he looked at me and he just stood in front of the refrigerator and he just kept laughing. And I kind of got a little annoyed and I said, why are you laughing? And he said, "They're right here. They've been right here for 2 weeks." Those gift cards had been taped to the front of the refrigerator for 2 weeks and I never, quote unquote, saw them. They were right in front of me, but it was visual clutter. So my brain didn't even realize that they were there. And in my refrigerator, there are a few things that are just like those gift cards that are taped to the front of my refrigerator. I have a jar of flax that is like maybe a half a cup to a cup of flax seeds that has been in my refrigerator, I kid you not, for probably 5 years now. And I'm sure they're rancid. I'm sure they're not any good. And after I record this, I promise you I'm going to go down and I'm going to toss them out because I'm sure they're not any good to eat anyway. They're just there. I bought them years ago when we had to go without eggs for a few weeks because of one of my kids. And I would use them to make flax eggs where you would grind up flax seed and mix it with a little bit of water. And it worked as a great egg replacer in baked goods. So it was fine. And I never fully used it up and we didn't have to stay egg free. And so the flax seeds have just kind of been sitting there haunting me, thinking someday I'm going to throw them in a smoothie. But anytime I make a smoothie, I don't think to open the refrigerator and crawl to the back of the refrigerator and pull out that little tiny jar of flax seeds that have been sitting there since, I don't even want to know how long. It's been a long time. It's embarrassingly long how long those flax seeds have been in there. But I'm wondering if there are bits and bobs that you have in your refrigerator that need to either be used up or tossed. And we're going to talk about how this week is the week. I want you to go through your refrigerator and maybe you've got a half a jar of pickles and a half a jar of olives because you made a charcuterie board over the holidays and you don't want to throw away the little half jars of those. So maybe this week you need to make a charcuterie board for dinner and you need to use up the olives and the pickles. Or if you're like me, there's like a tablespoon of fig jam And that tablespoon of fig jam would just be perfect alongside a little piece of cheese and some crackers for a little afternoon snack for me. And I always think I'm not going to throw away the one last tablespoon of the really good, expensive fig jam. And then I never think to have the crackers and the little bob of cheese with the fig jam that's been in my refrigerator since November. I have said so many times that sometimes you don't know how much brain space is being taken up by something until you fix the issue. I talk about that with meal planning all the time. Meal planning takes a lot of brain space, but when you take all of those decisions throughout the week and you put them into 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of the week, you are giving yourself back way more than 10 or 15 minutes. Because how many times do you sit at your desk at work or you sit in your house and you think, oh my gosh, I have to make dinner tonight. What am I going to make? And then you think about all these options and then your brain gets taken off on this little rabbit hole trail and you start thinking about, oh my gosh, we've got this happening on Tuesday, so I've got to have an easy meal on Tuesday. And your brain twirls and twirls and twirls and you are using lots and lots of time. The same is true about the little things that are in your refrigerator that you are not currently using. This week, you want to use them up or you want to let them go. And I know that this can be really, really frustrating because I don't like food waste. No one really does. Who likes to waste food? No one likes to waste food. And sometimes you think, oh, I bought that jar of miso for a recipe, or I bought that jar of pesto for a recipe, and it was kind of expensive. And then my family didn't really like the recipe, so I thought I'd find another recipe to use it, and you never did. And it sits there and it is taking up space. By taking up space in your refrigerator, it is costing you something. It is costing you brain space. It is costing you guilt because every time you see it, you feel a little bit guilty that you haven't used it. It's costing you time because when you happen to be flipping through a magazine and you see a recipe that uses that ingredient, you're looking at it and you're thinking about it and you're saying, oh, maybe I should try this recipe to use up the rest of that miso or the rest of that pesto or that harissa or whatever the ingredient may be. We all have those things that we've bought and we tried them in our family and our family didn't really prefer them. And this is your permission to let them go. It is okay. You've already spent the money on it, but it is costing you more having to move things around your refrigerator in it to keep it in your refrigerator. You know, Kendra Adachi, the lazy genius, she was on the podcast a while back, and she talked about how roasted red peppers were a thorn in her side. She always wanted to be the kind of person that would just break open a jar of roasted red peppers and make something magical with them. They seemed like they were a good ingredient, so she would buy them at the store and they would sit in her pantry for months and months and months. And every time she opened them, she didn't really like them. They didn't really do all that much for her. And yet she would still go and she would buy another jar of roasted red peppers. And finally, she admitted to herself that she's just the kind of person that doesn't like roasted red peppers. And you know what? That freed her from ever having to buy roasted red peppers again. Do you know what my roasted red peppers are? They are marinated artichokes. I love artichoke hearts. I love putting artichoke hearts on pizza. And every time I go into the store, you know, you'll be buying some olives and the artichoke hearts are kind of right close by. And I'll want to buy a jar of marinated artichoke hearts. And I want to be one of those people that just like magically at 5:00 at night walks down to my pantry and sees a jar of marinated artichoke hearts and I get inspired to make some kind of a fancy pasta dish or something. And you know what? I've had a lot of marinated artichoke hearts that I've had to give to my sister or give to someone away that I never ate them. I never opened the jars. I never had them. Now, the other flip side is maybe you bought those roasted red peppers or you bought those marinated artichoke hearts and you bought them for a special occasion because they were a little expensive. They were kind of fun. They seemed like a special treat, but you never actually ate them. This is the week. I don't care if it's on a Tuesday night and you think that you need to have something special to open up that ingredient or to use it. Use it up this week and enjoy them. It doesn't have to be a special night. It doesn't have to be a special day. If it's something that you bought because you like and you've kind of been saving it, will you please eat it before they go bad? Because let me tell you, A couple of years ago, someone gifted us this beautiful box of chocolates, and I put them in my pantry, and I was saving them for something special. And a few weeks ago, I was craving something sweet, and there really wasn't anything sweet in my house. And I went and I was like, that box of chocolates has been in my pantry for a while now. And I opened them up, and you know what? The centers of all the creams and all the caramels, they were hard and icky and yucky. And I still kind of picked at them and kind of ate them because, I was craving something sweet, and that's what you do when you're craving something sweet. But they were not as good as if I had just opened them up and enjoyed them rather than saving them for something special. We have so many things that are in our refrigerator, so many things that are in our pantry that are either cluttering our minds because we feel guilty for not throwing them away even though they're half used, or we feel guilty because we've spent good money on something, or we bought them and we're saving them for something special. Friends, now is the time to open them up, use them, or toss them out if they are half used, and save that space for something new. And when you have that space in your refrigerator and you have that space in your pantry, it is easier to be more creative. The past few weeks, I have kind of been doing a series on how to get out of a kitchen rut, how to be more creative in the kitchen. And one thing that you can do to help spark creativity is to clear out some of those old things that are quote unquote burdening you. And they really are. They really are creating burdens for you in your home and in your kitchen. Clear them out so that you have physical space in your pantry, physical space in your refrigerator. But more importantly than that, that you have mental space to think about new things that you may like and try new things. And here's the next little part of that is when you have that space and you do bring in some new things, if you do not like them or your family does not prefer them, even if it's half opened and even if you spent money on it, now is the time to let them go. It is okay to not like something. It is okay to let it out of your life because that clutter costs you something too. That clutter costs you brain space. And the more brain space that we can get to ourselves by meal planning at the beginning of the week or clearing out the physical clutter in our refrigerators, the easier it's going to be to focus on the things that are more important, like connecting with your children and having family meals. So friends, I have one more tip. If you are wanting to kind of clear out some of the bits and bobs in your refrigerator, I have an old post on how rice bowls are a really great way to clean out the little bits and pieces that are in your refrigerator. So if you've got some pickles and you've got a little bit of hummus and you've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you don't want to throw it away, you want to use it up, make rice bowls on your menu this week. And use up the little bits and pieces of the things that you have, the little sauces and the little pieces of meat and the little condiments like pickles and olives and all of those things could all go into a rice bowl, and your family can kind of pick the things that they don't like. Anything that they don't eat, anything that wasn't touched, it's not on their preferred foods list. Get rid of it and get it out of your life. So I want to know, in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook group, we're going to have a post and we're going to talk about what are you going to use up or get rid of out of your refrigerator this week. Meet me over in the Feed Your Family Tonight Facebook, friends, and we will catch you next week. Take care.